I'm Irene. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be sharing my touring plan for Disneyland. And I don't know if it was the time of year that we went there or if it's just because maybe I have a really great touring plan. It just worked out really well. We were able to get on all of the rides that we wanted to ride. And we were able to do this without purchasing the extra Maxpass. So I wanted to just share these tips with you in case you are able to benefit from this on your trip. First of all, I think that it's a really good idea to get there at least 30 minutes before the park officially opens. And once you get through security and you get into the park, they normally let you in before the park officially opens, and then you get to go right before the castle so that you can be there for a rope drop. That's what they call rope drop. So you are able to get on all of the rides a little bit quicker if you are there just as rope drop happens. But I like to get there early for a couple of reasons. One is that yes, it allows you to get to the ride sooner, but you also have a little bit of time to take pictures in the Main Street area, so that's a good time before there's too much of a crowd. Or you can take pictures at the entrance right after you pass the turnstile so that you get that kind of iconic picture in front of the railroad. The other pro tip around this is that if you don't happen to get that picture when you first get there, then I like to wait until after I've ridden all of the rides that I want to ride in the morning, and then probably after lunchtime, then go back out to that area and take those pictures, because chances are it's not as busy with all of the people trying to get in the same time that you're trying to get in with the same idea of getting there early. So that's also a good time to get those pictures in the entrance just after the turnstile. And I am somebody that likes to get on as many rides as possible, and so that's why I've tried to pay attention to what touring plan works out best. So this happened to work out best for us. Then we headed straight for Fantasyland as soon as we got into the park, and unfortunately for us, the Matterhorn was down. But last time we were there, we headed straight for the Matterhorn. We were able to get on to that without much of a wait. I think it was like a 5-minute wait when we first got there. So that worked out perfectly. My sister actually stopped with her kids to get some pictures with some of the characters. And so by the time she made it to the ride, it was already like a 40-minute wait just for those few minutes that she waited for the character photos. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you get there right at rope drop, then you want to make sure to make it over to the Matterhorn first thing so that you don't have a lot of waiting. And then any other rides in Fantasyland that you want to make it to, you definitely want to do that first thing. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to let you know is that look at the Disneyland website, the calendar section. Then there you can see what days have early access for people that are staying either on site or have a 3-day pass or longer. They have early access to either Disneyland or Disney's California Adventure. So if you don't happen to have early access, then you don't want to go to the park that does have early access that day, because what happens is that there's already a long line for all of the rides that do have early access, because they're backed up with people that have the ability to get in earlier. So that means longer waits for you. So after we headed over to Fantasyland and went on those rides there, then we headed over to Space Mountain, got a fast pass, and after we got our fast pass for Space Mountain, then we headed over to Thunder Mountain and we rode that, and we rode Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean. It happened that Haunted Mansion was down to get the new, I call it a skin, but I think they call it something else. What do they call it? It's like the Halloween makeover sort of thing. I don't know. But anyway, so the time that we went there was the last week in August, and so Haunted Mansion was already down to have this new Halloween skin placed on it. And so unfortunately we weren't able to ride that, which was really a bummer because that's one of my favorite rides. But anyway, if you go onto Disneyland's main website, then you can see what rides will be down for your visit so that you can plan around that. Then after we rode on all of those rides, then it was time to get another fast pass. So on your fast pass, it will tell you the time to go to the ride that you've selected, and then it will also give you the time to get your next fast pass, which is usually before the time of your ride. So we made sure to get the next fast pass before we went on the actual ride, just because it works out that you can get more fast passes that way. So before we went on Space Mountain, we got another fast pass, then we rode Space Mountain, and then we went to Toontown because it was time for Toontown to open. Toontown normally doesn't open at the time that Disneyland opens. It opens a little bit later, and so I believe it was 10 o'clock that it opened when we were there. So we went to Toontown, rode the rides there. It wasn't too busy, so that was great. And then we got another fast pass. We had an early lunch. I think my lunch reservations at Cafe Orleans ended up being around 11, I want to say, and that worked out really well. One, because we had reservations, but two, because it's not typically the time that people take a lunch, and so it just wasn't very crowded, which was great. And actually, some people that didn't have reservations, we noticed that they just showed up at the door and put their name down and just had to wait a few minutes before they got seated. So anyway, we didn't really want to take the chance of having to wait too long because we didn't know how busy it would be. So anyway, we had our early lunch, and then we went to ride Mr. Toad, and after that we did a ride around the park on the railroad, which is super fun. I highly recommend that. I love it. It has so much scenery around, and you get to see dinosaurs, and you get to see a Native American village, and there are all sorts of things that you get to see. So it's really nice, and it's just a leisurely trip around in one of these older steam railroads. Is that what they're called? Steam railroads? I don't know. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoy it every time. So we did that, and then after that we stopped in New Orleans again and rode the Jungle Cruise, and then got another fast pass. And then after we had done all of these different rides, that's when we kind of stopped to get a snack and to take some pictures. My daughter really wanted to do one of those pictures with all of the balloons that probably tons and tons of people do without buying all of the balloons. They just take the picture. So I told her, yes, I would be willing to do that as long as we could ride some rides ahead of time, which worked out really well. So then we did some shopping and also some pin trading, which I was really surprised that both of my kids enjoyed because there is such a big age gap between them, but they both really like it, which is a lot of fun. So if you get the opportunity to do it, you won't be sorry. And we just kind of looked around and rode some more rides and, kept doing the fast passes as we could, but our priority is riding rides, so we make sure to fit in as many of those during the first part of the day when it's not that crowded, and then wait to do pictures and browsing in the shops and like snacks and pin trading until after the big crowds get there. So usually after lunchtime. That plan worked out really well for us. So this is our touring plan that we followed, and I hope that you found this information helpful. And again, we did all of this without using the Maxpass, so I wanted to share with you our plan just in case you don't want to spend the extra money on the Maxpass. You know that you can still enjoy the park and ride a lot of rides without doing that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope that you will like and subscribe to catch some of my other videos. Thanks, bye.